Alright. I've let this foolishness go on long enough. Right, I actually got recommended this video on YouTube. Yep, on the YouTubes. Right, and I've had enough. Right, the video title, as you can see here, by Total MK, is Mortal Kombat Trilogy Sucks. This was 7 years ago. Let's find out from all that is totally Mortal Kombat why it sucks.
Hi there guys and girls, am I the only one who seems to hate Mortal Kombat?
I prefer if you refer to me as Lord, but I'll let it pass. Right, I understand that we didn't have pronoun nonsense back then, but I would prefer that you use, you know, Lord or Savior as thank you.
Kombat Trilogy.
By the way, because I know secretly deep down he loves Trilogy, I decided to have Trilogy constantly playing up in the top right corner as proof. Now, his first mistake is getting the N64 version, right?
Trilogy. I wanted to talk about this because, you know, it's something I come across a lot as a big fan of Mortal Kombat. People seem to love.
I can't tell. Can anyone around here tell if he's a big fan of Mortal Kombat? Some other people out here reckon he wasn't really a fan. Can somebody concur?
Mortal Kombat Trilogy, and I don't get it. Well, I do and I don't get it. I get that it's a great package of.
That's right. It's like having a pair of tits. It's like they exist, and that's it. That's all there is to it. I know why we got Trilogy. I actually know why we got Trilogy, right? But
You know,
carry on.
The three classic arcade games, MK1, 2, 3, and that it has this extra content. People like extra content, right? But as I've gotten, like, and when I got this, look, when I got Mortal Kombat Trilogy, I was into it, and even though the Nintendo version's really hard, you know, I liked the content at the time. I like getting the extra stages and playing the extra characters. But
So I never got the N64 version until later on with emulation, right? Now there were some pretty big differences between the N64 version and the PlayStation 1 version. The N64 version didn't have as much like capacity for storage, so they actually got cut down. Like they only literally have one Sub-Zero, right? It's a combined character of both unmasked and masked Sub-Zero, as in like combined special moves. They don't have access to the secret characters, and they also, in this video, I didn't know this actually, they actually like made some stages like interlinked, so you can actually like uppercut into like other stages that you never could before. But the sound wasn't as good. The PlayStation 1 had the extra characters, the secret characters hidden behind Kano, Kung Lao, Jax, and Kano, Kung Lao, Jax, and give me a moment. I always do this. I always remember 3 out of the 4. Kano, Kung Lao, Jax, and Raiden. That's it, Raiden, right? Anyway, not to mention, it was also a big deal because MK3 was on the PlayStation 1 and they introduced Red Book audio, which was really high quality CD audio, so it sounded a lot better instead of like a muffled sound effect like we got with N64 games.
But as I've gotten older, I just look back on Trilogy as just shit. really, because like it.
No, don't laugh, bro. Don't go, no. No.
Affects the game. Like, yeah, cool, you got every character there. You got the MK2 versions. I like that. That's cool. But they added, you could play all the boss characters. You could be Shao Kahn. You could be Motaro. You could be Goro. You could be Kintaro.
Now I do understand that this man, his personal, I think one of his personal main gripes with this game is, and we've talked about this before, right? Is the fact that, just like how you don't wipe your ass properly and you know there's still some shit there, to him the boss characters in Trilogy is the shit stain, right? Now, this is the truth about why we got Trilogy. Sega Saturn got the rights for Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. I remember it at the time, because I didn't have a Saturn, I only had a PlayStation 1, and I was so disappointed, because we didn't have the money to buy multiple consoles back then. Probably still don't now, but back then it was really expensive, right? So you pretty much had to choose like the one that you thought would give you the most good stuff, right? And so I went with PlayStation 1. MK3 being a launch title for PlayStation 1 for me, that was it, right? I used to go into the city, up into one of the department stores. They used to have a demo machine, and I'd constantly be asking the people there, oh, can you put on MK3? Can you put on Warhawk? Can you put on Tekken 1? But MK3 was always the one. I'd even go into the city after school to just play it. It was the only place that you could actually try it out. And I played to MK3 to death, right? It was just an incredible experience. So when Ultimate MK3 got released in the arcades, and then they're going, oh, well, you know, are the home systems going to get it? Sega got exclusivity to Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, at least at that time, on that platform, and I was just broken. I was just like, oh, dude, really? Like, I can't play this, right? Now, I'd have to double check, because I know they brought out it on the 16-bit consoles, on the Mega Drive, Genesis, and Super Nintendo, but obviously they weren't going to be the arcade quality that we got with Mortal Kombat 3. So, what happened was, I can't remember how long after that happened, but I remember a mate of mine, he came to me with a magazine, and he's like, dude, check this out. And I looked in the mag, and it was the first character select screen of what would become, obviously, Mortal Kombat Trilogy. I looked at that more than I looked at porn, right? Seeing that was just incredible. I was sitting there going, oh my god, Cage is back. Who is that? Is that Noob? Who's the pink ninja? Like the purple ninja? Who's that? Like, dude, it was amazing. You guys have no idea. Like, it was so amazing because we didn't have the internet back then, or at least to that capacity. And to, you know, all our information came from magazines, right? So you'd literally just be sitting there with the magazine, just looking at, reading every word and line, and just going, oh man, you know, what does this mean? You know, and I realized that what they did is that they couldn't give PlayStation or Nintendo Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. But by changing it and changing the name and in content, it's now technically a new product titled Mortal Kombat Trilogy. So then they could sell it to other platforms. That's why we have Mortal Kombat Trilogy, because we actually couldn't get Ultimate MK3.
Like, and yeah, everyone always talked about that. Wouldn't it be cool to play as Kintaro? Wouldn't it be cool to be Shaq? So they gave everyone what they want, but the results were shit. It's not a good game when you're Shao Kahn versus Motaro. It's not. The boss.
Well, as a general rule, like with the boss characters in Trilogy, as a general rule, when me and my mates used to fight each other, we didn't choose the boss characters. Like, that was a general rule. Like, we just knew deep, like, not deep down. It's not that deep. We just knew straight off the bat, don't choose a boss character, right? Because they're broken. They're obviously broken. They're literally just ported in from the arcade ladder without any tweaks or anything whatsoever. They're literally just that. So you don't even like use them to fight with properly. Probably the closest that we got to a broken character was Noob Cybot, because you couldn't even block his Ghost Ball, right? Because you'd still get hit by it. So, but I actually like that challenge. I actually like the challenge of working around that particular sort of what we would consider a broken mechanic, because well, not so much broken, but it felt very cheap in the game. So I used to sort of like, you know, have a lot of I used to get a lot of joy when my friends would choose Noob, thinking that, oh, we're going to get a free win because we can just hit them with the ball even if they block and do teleport, you know, slams and stuff. And I liked working around that, which sort of, you know, was obviously increases your skill if you sort of have something that's, you know, going to be a problem for you and you work away, you know, work around that.
They're overpowered, and generally they weren't clipped properly, and the matches always look like garbage. You know, when people play those characters, they just like, there's like nothing like cool to it. You know, it's just a gimmick.
And look, he's right. Like it is a gimmick, right? It is absolutely a gimmick. But it was, again, it was also the first time that we actually got every single Mortal Kombat character, not including the you know, the MK1 and MK2 variants that we had, right? They're just, again, that was just a gimmick as well. And there are actually Mugen projects that I've reviewed on the channel where you can actually choose every single version of any previous Mortal Kombat version of those characters. So it's fucking amazing, dude. You can sit there and play as like MK1 Scorpion, you know, or you can have MK1 Scorpion character select avatar box on the same screen as the other trilogy characters. I mean, I like that. I really like that. I think that's really cool. Yeah, like having the bosses in there, absolutely it was a gimmick, right? But, you know, playing single player, if you just wanted to, you know, roll stomp the whole arcade ladder, you just choose a boss character. Like, you know, it sort of doesn't really matter. So, yeah.
It's just a shit gimmick, you know, and I really, like, as I've gotten older, every time I think about Trilogy, I really hate it. You know what I mean?
And you know what? And I think, too, because you played the N64 version, right? I don't see no PlayStation 1 version here, motherfucker! Right? I don't see shit. The PlayStation 1 version of Trilogy was the peak version out there. Now, what you're seeing on screen is the PC version. It's got a little bit of glitch there with the background in the skybox. But ultimately, the best version that ever came out, outside the PC version, I guess, and that was just more convenient to have it on PC. I don't think it actually looked any different. Not that much. Was the PlayStation 1 version, for all the reasons I've already stated.
But in the community, everyone seems to be like, Trilogy! You know, like it's the greatest. Trilogy!
I think it's... so, this is my opinion on Trilogy compared to, like, the standalone releases, right? I like Trilogy because it kind of felt like a bookend. Does that make sense? Like, it was a bookend to the entire 2D era. Yeah, we got MK4 and stuff, but I didn't overly... Like, MK4's a solid game, but MK4 should have been MK Gold. Right, we should have had those extra characters. It kind of would have felt just a little bit more fleshed out. But Trilogy kind of felt like a bookend for the 2D digitized series. We got every character in there. So, but again, they made sure that the stories all mattered. Like, they made sure that the characters that they brought in all had their own storyline. You know, both biography and ending that was related to what was considering still the current meta story, which was in like Shao Kahn's invasion of Earthrealm. So I thought that was pretty cool. They also brought in like a 8-person tournament, 2-on-2 combat as well. I think it was, yep. I'd have to check because I only ever did one. There was also, now there was secrets. There was a secret question mark in the menu that you get access to have one-button fatalities and things like that. So yeah.
To me, it's just not. It's not the greatest. With
crap. So to add to that, so I say I don't like. So if somebody goes, what's your sort of like in the 2D era? What's your like favorite sort of maybe like Trilogy is Trilogy is just like Ultimate MK3++. Like it's just Ultimate MK3 on steroids, right? But if I had to be locked in a room with, say, not including Trilogy, with MK1, 2, 3, or Ultimate, I'd always choose MK2 every time, right? I don't see Trilogy as kind of like this. Like MK3 Ultimate and Trilogy is kind of like, that's all one package to me, right? It will kind of, it just keeps increasing and increasing. So if I had to be locked in a room with one of any of the 2D era games, it would obviously be Trilogy, because then we get everything. But as far as like an individual standalone release that isn't sort of like just an expansion, if you will, on say MK3 and then Ultimate, it would definitely be MK2, because MK2 very much felt like a complete MK game. We got everything. MK3 shook things up. We lost key characters like Scorpion and Reptile, and like we had Katana Molina that was there in MK2. We lost them. Like we had all these brand new characters that were thrown in, and they were lucky. They did really well. They actually did a really good job at keeping interest with people with MK3. But obviously, Ultimate MK3 proved that we really needed those key core characters back as well, and it just made it amazing. But MK2 definitely is like sort of like that perfect standalone. But as far as like wanting to have like everything, right? I want the biggest roster out of the 2D era. I want all the and. The worst part is actually we didn't get all the stages. They missed a couple of stages from MK1 from memory with Trilogy, which sucks. But again, the Mugen community has fixed that. The Mugen community, and I've reviewed them on the channel, go check out the playlist. You can actually get hold of essentially what would be considered to be the perfect Trilogy versions out there. I think it's the Thunder Edition. I think is the perfect one. I think that's the one with all the alternate previous versions of 2D characters, all the stages, and then some. So, and that's what I love. Like, that's what I really love about Mugen, is that they can actually take these old games that, like with Trilogy, and go, you know what, Trilogy's great, but we're just gonna, you're missing a couple of bits here. We're gonna add them in and, go from there.
Like that, playable boss characters. That Aggressor bar was shit.
Yeah, Aggressor was shit.
There's a lot of things.
And I think Aggressor was could be like the early alpha version of eventually what would become their super meter in Mortal Kombat 9.
In the Nintendo version, you could be female Chameleon, and in the PlayStation version, you could be male Chameleon. That's just annoying.
That is annoying.
There was weird stuff like the Nintendo 64 version had a level called the Star Bridge, which I used to really like because I loved the bit 2. And it's the bit 2 with a starry background, and...
We didn't have that in the PS1.
Like, I used to like it. But as I've gotten on, I'm like, well, why the fuck did they do that? Like, I like the way NetherRealm did it with Mortal Kombat 9. They had a daytime version of the pit and like a nighttime version and like a dusk version. I think that was amazing. Like, just do it like that.
They did a good job with that.
And it was relevant to the game. They just did this for the fuck of it. Like, look, we got a new stage. We changed the start. We changed the background. Like, you didn't need to do that. We already had the pit 2 anyway. But having the reason in MK9 that they had it was because it was different time delays, And if they put the stars in it and had a reason for it, and had a different time that they go there later at night or something, it would be relevant. But they're just like, here's a new level with no relevance or anything whatsoever. So, like, again, it's just another shit gimmick. And then you got weird shit like, in the Nintendo version, you can uppercut someone from Goro's lair. Sorry, so yeah, you uppercut them from the Goro's lair to the armory.
Yeah, well, watch this. We never got this. We never got this on the PS1 version. A lot of these issues, well, not a lot, but some of these issues seem to be pertaining exclusively to the N64 version. I thought we got the better version of Chameleon because there's more male ninjas than female ninjas to swap between. We should have had both, and we didn't. And that's technically a secret too. Chameleon is actually a secret character as well.
And from the armory to the combat term. That makes no fucking sense. You're uppercutting someone from Mortal Kombat 1 level into a Mortal Kombat 2 level, and then from in a Mortal Kombat 2 level to another Mortal Kombat 2 level, like that's supposed to be above it, which makes no sense at all. Like, you know, and I just don't get it. Why do people love this game so much? Is it because it's MK123 in one game?
I think the issue is really that it was the N64 version that soured him over the PS1 version.
I'd rather just play MK123 separately, or Ultimate, you know? I know that way I'm getting the unfucked version. And there was a lot of this shit, like, a lot of younger fans will ask me here and there, or they'll be confused about this, you know. Ultimate MK3 on arcade, is Rain and Noob Saibot in it? Yes and no. Rain's not in it, but he is in it. If that makes sense. He's not a playable character, you can't fight him, but he's in the intro and his energy bar says Rain, you know, and if you put in a certain clue, I used to always put this code in, this combat code, and it says Rain can be found in the graveyard, which is a troll by Ed Boon, which is, you know, I think a literal thing, like, you know, usually rains in graveyards, you can find rain in a graveyard, but I think that's what that means, you know. And Noob Saibot, same thing, you can just fight him, you can't beat him, he's in the intro too, you know, and he even has a level called Noob's Dolphin, but you can't play as them.
Noob's Dolphin, by the way, is an amazing stage. It's the balcony stage missing, like, I think, like one of the layers, and it looks really cool, right? Looks really cool. And so you sort of think, like, at least for me back then, like, you'd be like, oh, this is Noob's lair, if you will. So,
and a lot of people would get confused, and then the Super Nintendo version came out, and you could be Rain and Noob Saibot. Yeah. Same with the Mega Drive version, the home system ones, you could on Ultimate MK3, but not in the arcade. So it gets really confusing. And
I actually didn't realize that until recently, actually, because I never had Ultimate on the Super Nintendo or Mega Drive, right? So when people are going, oh yeah, I can play these characters in 16-bit, I'm like, you fucking liar, you know. And then I'm like, oh no, you're not lying. So I'm wondering if that was after they released Trilogy on the N64 and the PS1.
This butchery of the MK games is kind of annoying. And the reason I'm doing this is because, like, I was talking about how...
You're a hater. You're a hater. That's why you're doing it. You're a hater. You're just trying to grift from 7 years ago.
NetherRealm or Midway didn't like to put the ports out, and I kind of see why. Like, some of them... I guess that's probably one of the reasons. And I put a thing just up on Facebook for a joke thing. I was saying I'd love to see Mortal Kombat come out on the Switch, because they announced Street Fighter 2. And if you didn't see it, the Street Fighter 2 video, here's a bit of it now.
I'm just gonna skip this, because basically they brought out, like, Ultra Street Fighter 2, Final Challenges, which we also got Ultra Street, well, we got Super Street Fighter 2 HD, Turbo HD or something on the PS3, on the PSN store. So basically the same sort of graphics, like high def, like beautifully drawn and everything. So he's making a point, like, you know, it'd be good to get like a Mortal Kombat version, right? Like an actual MK version, not just for Switch obviously, but like for everything. We'd love that.
Final challengers.
Like, I actually want to play this. Like, I've played Street Fighter 2. Do you know what I mean? I'm not a big fan. I played it very casually. But a lot of my friends have always liked Street Fighter, and I wouldn't mind actually getting this on the Switch and giving it a go. Like, I love the improved graphics, look awesome. And the idea that you can take the Switch anywhere with you and play and have a match is, like, really cool. And it's in high definition graphics. It looks awesome. The music's been redone. Looks really sweet. So I'm actually probably going to get this Street Fighter 2 when it comes out. And like I said, I'm not a Street Fighter fan at all. The only one I've ever played really is Street Fighter 2. That's the only Street Fighter I've played. I've never played any of the other ones. Oh wait, no, I lie. I played Street Fighter 4 a bit.
Which is amazing.
And I played X-Men versus Street Fighter. That's all the Street Fighters I've played. So, I actually quite liked X-Men versus Street Fighter because it didn't feel like a Street Fighter game. It was a bit different. But anyway, I put up an image on Facebook saying I wish they'd do this for Mortal Kombat and put like Mortal Kombat 1 and 2 out on the Switch and like redo the graphics. You know, I like that would be so cool. I could put that HD collection out or something that they never released. I don't know how far into production they got with that, but that would be just wicked. Or just re-render the stages like they did for Street Fighter. Like, you know, it'd just be great to be able to take the Switch around and have a game of Mortal Kombat on the spot. MK1 and 2, classic MK, you know. Maybe even MK3 awesome. Or Ultimate MK3. I just say MK1 and 2 because, like, for me, those are, like, super classic, you know. But, I guess if they're going to do 1 and 2, it probably wouldn't be hard for them to do 3 and Ultimate. But, yeah, I put it up on Facebook and someone replied and he's like, Trilogy! And I just replied, oh, please, dear God, no. No. Not fucking Trilogy.
And this disrespect's real.
Lol. Quadrilogy? Yeah, so like, Mortal Kombat Trilogy, I'm just not a fan. I'm not a fan of you, man. Like,
look at him. He's looking at the box, right? Oh shit! It cost him $128. That's why he's so grievously disturbed by this. Is because not only did he spend $128.95 on the worst version of Trilogy that they ever made, right? But it's the N64 one, right? If you got the PlayStation 1 version, now the PlayStation 1 version did have obviously a couple of issues, like I said, missing a couple of stages. You couldn't morph to Shang Tsung without like a bit of a load, like this would actually be a loading time. So what you could do is you could actually change how Shang Tsung morphs. So you could have it limited, so it would like maybe only morph to like your opponent's character or not at all. So, you know, and of course then obviously Shang Tsung really didn't have any moves apart from, you know, horizontal fireballs, like the skulls or the vertical ones, right? The up fireballs. So you kind of needed to have access to another character to, you know, increase his move list. At the very least, being able to morph to your opponent was good, but you also had to remember the morphs, right? Something that you young folk out there don't have to worry about now, right? Because that's all just gone, right? The worst you have to deal with is basically morphing into your opponent, you know, and that's easy. Back then, you had to remember all the morphs. All the morphs. I think Shang's... Was it MK2 Shang? It was like 3 blocks for Katana, or was that MK3? I'm pretty sure that was MK2 for 3 blocks for Katana, right? So yeah, this was wild gaming. But this is the reason. This is why he's depressed. This is why he hates Mortal Kombat Trilogy, because you got the worst version, right?
I get it. At the time, it was every Mortal Kombat fan's like, you know, must-have game. Oh my god, you could be Shogun. Oh my god, there's a new level called the Star Bridge in it. Oh my god, you can uppercut through Mortal Kombat 1 levels into Mortal Kombat 2.
So that part there where he's having a spurg over, that doesn't happen on the PS1. On the PS1 version, that just doesn't happen, right? Unless I'm having a brain fart and I can't remember, but I never, ever remember that actually ever happening on the PS1. I think the PlayStation 1 version was actually an authentic upgrade from the Ultimate MK3 version of the game that felt like more in line with actually being the proper game. It felt like the N64 version. They had some people that were doing the port just fucking around. Oh, we'll put stars in the Pit 2 stage and we'll make it so you can go through like different versions of the game stages and stuff like that. Now the bosses are still there, but again, as a general rule, you know, PvP we never use bosses, and yeah, they are a gimmick along with the, you know, the hidden MK1, MK2 characters. But the PS1 version is the superior version.
Level. It sounds good, but it's shit. That's the reality. You know, and you get sold on that blind marketing at the time. You know, it sucks you in because back then Mortal Kombat was so hot you had to have the new version. It's still like that now. You know, but like even more so back then. Like,
well, again, like my issue was the fact that Sega Saturn poached Ultimate MK3, so no one else could get it. So Trilogy was our ability on PlayStation to get like Ultimate MK3, right? And it is, right? It is. It's Ultimate MK3, obviously with extra characters and fluff, but that was the closest that we got. And then of course, I think it was Mortal Kombat Armageddon. I think it was one of the Elite editions or Premium editions. I think it was in the US. I don't know if it was over here. They actually put in the arcade version of Ultimate MK3. Finally, after all this time, they actually finally made it so that you could actually have access to it on at the very least, a PlayStation console, even though it wasn't the PS1. It had to be on the PS2, but whatever.
When Mortal Kombat was still in arcades and it was creeping into the home market, so the home market things had to have an edge. Do you know what I mean? So that's why Super Nintendo and Mega Drive had Rain and Noob Saibot on the Ultimate versions, and that's why, you know, PlayStation and N64 had Trilogy with all this extra shit. They had to have an edge to make you buy it. Otherwise...
I understand what he's saying there, but for me, it was never that. For me, it was basically like I said, Sega got Ultimate, we were left without, and they basically changed the name, added content to change it into a new product, because it's been changed, it's been transformed, just like this video, right? And therefore, we now end up with, you know, essentially Ultimate, but... you know, it's different. I think Saturn eventually got Trilogy anyway. So.
You might just stay and play it in the arcades. So, yeah, I just want to do a video about it because it just shocks me how much love the Trilogy gets. Why does Trilogy get so much love? I don't understand. Can't people see now that it was just a fucking gimmick and that it hasn't held up? Like, the game's not good. If people can be the boss characters, it's not good.
Well, and that's the other thing too, like obviously because like, you know, the home market was exploding with arcade ports coming to home, you know, with Sega doing what they did, well, you know, they're like, well, how do we make, like, we're not, you know, we want to make a ton of money on home ports, right? What are we going to do? Look at the home port of Mortal Kombat 1 on the Super Nintendo. It was watered down for the family. And then when MK2 came out, they went, yeah, fuck the family, we're going to have all the blood and fatalities back. Because they realized that people were jumping ship to the Mega Drive version, where while it was graphically inferior, it had the actual arcade accurate AI, it had all the fatalities and blood, it was just amazing. So Nintendo couldn't risk losing people again. And that's why from then on, it never became, like, it was never censored again. So it was the same thing with this. They had to, you know, they're like, well, how do we get this on the other platforms without breaking that contract? And some smarmy, smart bastard out there figured it out. I'd love to shake their hand, man. I would shake the hand of the person that came up with the idea for Trilogy, so that way we could actually get it on the PlayStation 1.
I've said this in other videos too, being able to play as Noob Saibot and all that all the time, like, Noob Saibot became a main character now, and that kind of pissed me off. I liked him in MK2, even though he was just a shadow. That could have been cool if they had kept him like that and just never made him playable. You know, and they've done that with all the characters and made them playable. Every single one. Ermac, Smoke, Noob Saibot, Jade, Allet, who was a rumor, you know, classic Sub-Zero. When you cross the line of making a secret character and Reptile, when you cross the line of making a secret character a playable character, it's dangerous. Now I will say this, it's funny about Reptile. See, in Mortal Kombat 1, Reptile was the ultimate secret, and I love that. That was awesome. Having him playable in MK2, that was fine because we're early on in this series, right? But then when you make, you know, you start doing it for everyone. You start doing it for Noob Saibot, you start doing it for Jade, and you start doing it for Smoke. You know, and then you start doing it for the boss characters too. You kind of it just becomes old. It just becomes stale. It just becomes. Yeah, you want to do it at time, like, and then.
I will agree with the fact, like, Trilogy to me, that was just a gimmick, right? But I do find it strange, and I've always said this, when MK4 came out, it was the first, MK4 was the true, like, a first true sequel to the MK3 saga, where, again, the bosses in Trilogy is a gimmick. I don't consider that part of, like, you know, standard gameplay, because it was just a home release. It wasn't from the arcade to home. But MK4, playing as a boss character in the main roster, took out that fear and that anxiety of going, oh, what's this end boss character going to be like? Because we didn't have Goro playable. You could select Goro with a secret cheat from the character select screen, at least on the home versions, but Shinnok was there. And that really took me out of the game. Like, it's like, well, MK bosses, you're not supposed to play as them. Right? So Trilogy was a big fuck around, but now, obviously, we've got Shao Kahn showing up as character to use just as a normal character. I actually agree with this. Like this is where I think, you know, you have to be very careful that a boss character, you know, should remain unplayable. Like they put Goro in MK10, right? Shao Kahn is playable in MK11. Like, you know, now of course we've got General Shao in MK1, and it's just, it takes away that gravity and that fear that those boss characters have, because, you know, obviously even with MK, like, Shinnok was the end boss in MK10, Shao Kahn was the end boss in MK11, but they still made him playable. So what are you doing? Right? I don't want to know how they play. I only want to know how they play when I get to them. And that fear of, like, losing because it's taken me all that time up the ladder to get there, and then go, right, now I've got to remember the last encounter I had with them and make sure I don't get, you know, absolutely obliterated. And that's where it gets dangerous. The only time I agree with boss characters being playable is if you have a Trilogy type or an Armageddon type game, where you're just basically gone, right, we're going to give you every character, just go ham. And they did it with Armageddon. They did it with Trilogy, and they did it with Armageddon. MK9 was different. MK9 with a mod on PC, you can access the boss characters, and they're kind of cool. But again, they're broken. Like, it's just, you know, you're not using them, like, seriously. But MK9 actually kind of felt like a Trilogy game. We kind of felt like we had this massive roster. But everyone got a character. Like, everyone felt like they got a character. Even missing 3D characters, except for Kenshi from the 3D era, and then obviously Quan Chi that came in the, like, MK4 era, or MK4. It felt like a complete roster, which was kind of nice. So, and there was no boss characters to be used. Like, Shang Tsung was like a sub-boss, but Shang Tsung's been playable since MK2, and he's not as threatening. You know, I don't find him as threatening as, you know, the other boss characters like the Shokuns and the Centaurs, and of course Shao Kahn.
Once you've done it and played it, you're like, meh. You just don't care. Like I said, for Reptile, it was a kind of a logical step because MK1 had like 7 characters. He fit in the story. It was natural that he would become playable on MK2. The whole thing fit, you know what I mean? Story fit, the reason for doing it fit and everything, whereas like just making Noob Saibot playable and Jade and Smoke and everyone from fucking MK2 playable, that kind of pissed me off. I really liked the secrets. Sometimes you shouldn't be able to play as those characters. Sometimes you should only be able to fight them and wonder what it would be like to be the characters. Because when you are the character, it's like, oh, you know.
Well, and like I agree too. But then you just replace those secrets with new secrets, right? So they set a standard with Reptile and MK1. They make them playable with MK2, but then they introduced 3 new secret characters, right? Now, I'm not saying you've got to keep increasing the number, but having secret characters replacing the previous ones that have now become playable, I think is fine. Like I think that would have been a good thing that they just kept doing, like, moving forward. In MK3, you know, Cyborg Smoke, you know, or Cyber Smoke was the secret character, and it was kind of a tease too because you could see the thing rotate, and you're like, how do we get him, right? So they teased you with it, right? But then you still had Noob, which was like the outline of Kano in MK3. He was a secret character. I don't think there was anything else apart from those 2. And then in Ultimate, obviously, you had the 3 secret characters, the Classic Sub, Melina, and Ermac. but there was still no noob, still no rain. You could still fight noob, but you know, like, so that was still secret. And then obviously, you know, we got to the home versions, and then that really opened it up. But Trilogy, we kind of did have secret characters. We had the secret with Chameleon. We had the classic characters that were secrets. And then obviously in MK4, Goro was secret. We didn't have any unlockable characters in MK4. MK Gold, they introduced 5 brand new characters into the roster, which was fine. And then there was sort of like that gap until we got Deadly Alliance. And then it changed to basically an unlock system, right? So we kind of had secret characters, but they were unlockable, so we didn't really know who they were. So we had to go through a process of like, oh, how do we get these? You know, I don't mind that system as such, right? If you don't have any idea who they are, and it's like, but every time you finish a ladder with a character, you unlock that character, like a brand new character. That's kind of cool too. But I agree, secrets are good. And if you're going to make those secrets playable, replace those playable secrets with ones that aren't playable.
Yeah, I get it. They have stories and that, you know, and it's fun to play the stories. But once you cross that line of playing that character, you can never go back to how it was before and wondering what it would be like to be the character. And that's what made it fun, is not being able to be the character and wondering what it would be like. As soon as you then are the character, you're just like, oh, okay, that's it. Cool. You know, and then you move on to the next secret. Oh, wouldn't it be cool to be that guy? You know, and that's why, like, if you think about these Mortal Kombats, these latest ones, there's no secret characters anymore. Is there? No. Think about it. There's none. The last one I can think of, really, was Deception. Liu Kang, Zombie Liu Kang, you unlocked him, secret character. I mean, in Armageddon, you unlocked the Taven and Dagon, you unlocked the brothers, but that was kind of obvious because it was part of the story mode, whereas Liu Kang, you had to be in that certain time, in that certain place, in that certain month, behind Jade's tent in Edenia, and open the coffin would appear, you open it, you get Zombie Liu Kang.
Yep.
You know, if you think about MKX, MKXL, there's no secret characters anymore. They don't do it.
Well, the secret character is your wallet. It's hidden in your wallet. But that's the thing, like Ed Boon's teasing with Mortal Kombat 1. Oh, there's some big secret in there. And I'm hoping it's a character. Because if it's some fucking stupid costume or some stupid cameo, then that's going to really piss me off. It's got to be, you've got to bring back those, like, big, like a secret character that nobody knows about, has any idea about, and everyone gets to experience that character for the first time together as a community. That's what's lost. And I understand what he's saying. That's what's lost. You know, we don't have that communal unlock of like, oh my god, this is a brand new character, we had no idea.
And maybe this is why they've exhausted them all. They hoard them all out. Everyone could be the characters, and now there's no secret characters to have anymore.
Well, you can make more characters.
Like, I miss that flavour from Mortal Kombat. The secrets. You know what I mean? Like, the crypt is...
You can make the secrets. Right? You can definitely make the secrets. But they're not making the secrets. That's the problem. Right? So, like, you know... Like, if they continually, like, keep adding secrets... And people get used to that secrets, like, oh, yeah, there's definitely going to be a secret character in this game because they've done it in the previous games. Or 2 secret characters, you know? Secret stages as well. That's what they need to do, right? Now they go, oh, I unlocked a secret brutality. No one in you gives a fuck about that shit. What, a brief cutscene? No, we want character. We want a dude or dudette that we've never used before. This is a brand new character. We have no idea how they play their special moves until we get hold of them. That's the sort of stuff that really fucking matters.
It's fun, and the new game is fun, the new engine's fun, and everything's great, and the fatality's great. You know, but it's missing the little things. You know? As John Travolta said in Pulp Fiction. It's you know, they got the same shit over there that they got over here, but it's just a little different. Example. Well, in Mortal Kombat 1, they had a secret character called Reptile, and to get him, you had to get a shadow, win double flawless, not block, you know, and it was really hard to do.
It was too.
You don't get that anymore. You don't get those sort of challenges anymore. I think MK9 had a few of them actually. MK9 was pretty good. I haven't.
Bro, that fucking Melina skin with her wearing toilet paper was enough for every grown man with a pulse to go through the 300 levels of the challenge tower. Right? That was enough. Right? I can't remember if, I think Cyber Smoke, sorry, it's not Cyber Smoke, Cyber Sub-Zero I think was an unlockable. I can't remember if he was a secret or not, if everyone knew that he was in the game. But MK9, like, I felt like there was always new shit, like, that I was just discovering or mucking around with or whatever. Yeah.
I'll probably play like 20% of MK9. I really need to play more of MK9. There were secret characters unlocks in that, but they were based on the unlocks from 1, 2, 3 anyway. So I don't know if that really counts. Whereas Deception was still a new MK game. It wasn't based on an old game with a secret character unlock. You know, so like, it'd be cool if like the new Mortal Kombats had some of that missing content. You know, they're making Injustice now, and like I said, I've kept my word. I've done any promotions for Injustice 2. I'll put up maybe a few tweets here and there, but I'm not doing any videos about Injustice 2.
Yeah, I don't care for Injustice, really.
Interest in that franchise. You know, like, I care about Mortal Kombat, you know, and so... I just wish we could get a Mortal Kombat that had some of that flavour. Like, and like I said, I loved MKX, I loved the Crypt, I loved the level of detail they went to. And the Crypt could have been so great, it could have been so much bigger. And it's, like, again, it's easy for me to say these things, but then they got to go do it. But they had those puzzles that you solved in the Crypt and they were great. It was just too small. It was like, I beat the Crypt pretty fast, you know, so it would be cool to have a bigger Crypt and have secrets. Maybe find a secret character in the Crypt, like an unlikely thing, because in all Mortal Kombats, you know, you unlock it by fighting, or, you know, getting it flawless, or, you know, only using low kick before the question mark. You know, there's always something in the fighting game, but imagine you could find a secret character in the Crypt, and there was no reference to it anywhere. You know, it's just one of those things you have to do right. You have to be in the right place at the right time or something, you know. That would be awesome. So anyway, I just wanted to do that video about Trilogy.
Alright, so now that I've completely destroyed this man, I understand his grievances, but again, his first experience with Trilogy was the N64 version. Right? I mean, that was just, like, that was woeful. Right? Oh, yeah, not to mention we also got characters like I said, like Cage, but we also got Baraka to come back. You know, so we actually had some characters that weren't part of the MK3 series up until that point come back too, which was fucking awesome, man. Like, that was really cool. Like, that was really cool, right? But yeah, like, I understand what he's saying, but again, my experience was from the PS1 version. The PS1 didn't have, like, some of the shit that he's talking about that obviously rubbed him the wrong way. Yes, the bosses were there. Like I said, general rule, my friends and I wouldn't choose the bosses, so it was neither here nor there, right? But it was the only way that PlayStation users and N64 users were able to get Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 on the home console because Sega got the rights to publish it exclusively. But yeah, anyway, great video, man. Love your brother. You know, just wanted to do this and have a bit of fun. I'll leave a link in the description for you guys to go check out his video. Go subscribe. He's awesome. He is total Mortal Kombat. Catch you next time.